two project cars, the Roadkill Ramp Truck and Blasphemi.
Woohoo! Look at all the smoke, dude. Hell yeah, dude. Wow, I love this truck.
Look, everybody, the Roadkill Ramp Truck is back.
After 3 years.
Yeah, it has legit been 3 years since anyone has driven this truck or hauled anything on it. And in the next 3.5, 4 days, we are going to wire it, plumb it, put the front clip back on it, put the cooling system on it, mount 2 new seats in it, some side mirrors, and then we're gonna go pick up Blasphemi from the body shop because that car's also been out of commission for 2 years. So a lot of good stuff happening.
Finally, both of the Chrysler-powered vehicles coming back to life.
Yes. All the Chevys with all the Chrysler engines.
Yeah.
In one episode. Here's everything you need to know about the Roadkill Ramp Truck. Freiburger found this on the internet for sale for $3,500.
This thing is mint.
Came from San Diego, California, and it had a great license plate on it that basically said, this truck hauled a Class 1 race car racing down in Baja, California. I drove the Crusher Camaro down to San Diego. Don't know why, but that's what I was driving that day. Loaded it on the back of this thing, drove it all the way back to Los Angeles, and thought, this is the greatest truck ever. I don't need a trailer. I don't have to do 55 miles an hour in California. I can go 70 like everybody else. And when I came back to Freiburger, I raved about how good this thing was. So Freiburger said, great, let's put the 5,000-pound Bonneville Camaro on the back of it and go all the way to Wendover, Utah to race that car. And that's when we discovered maybe it's not as good as we thought it was. It was underpowered, it had electrical issues, it had fuel system issues. We battled it the whole time. Ultimately, we did make it home from that trip, and I still love this truck. I just knew it needed work. So I bought it from the company, drove it from California to Georgia, and when I got here, one of the first things Newbern and I did was swap the 454 and Turbo 400 trans out of it, and in place, we stuck a compound turboed 5.9-liter Cummins diesel, one of the greatest diesel engines ever made. And this particular one has been hopped up by the folks at Power Driven Diesel in Utah, and it now makes over 1,300 foot-pounds of torque. It is an animal. I know it's fast. I know it's amazing. I know it will rip a house off the foundation, but I've legit only driven it twice because we blew up the transmission in the truck. Then it went to a body shop for 2.5 years. Then it went to an upholstery shop for like 7 months. And one of the first things we have to do is figure out what's missing. It's been so long, I'm pretty sure we don't have all the parts. Here's the reason it was in the body shop. It's really well ventilated. And unfortunately, most of this rust happened as a direct result of Roadkill taking the Ramp Truck to Bonneville. We went to the Salt Flats, raced Freiburger and Turk's Camaro, and when we got home, our rust-free, dent-free Ramp Truck just started falling apart. So it now has aftermarket doors, aftermarket fenders, aftermarket rockers, and aftermarket hood, all painted white by Concept Collision in Ackworth, Georgia. All of this replaced. So let's inventory everything.
I'll put it back here.
Okay. She's gonna handle great because I found the sway bar. See, this is how you can tell this thing used to haul an off-road car. These are all FM radio channels. These were frequencies for different pits. I found lights.
Hey, what's your thoughts on like not hooking up the heater? I don't think we need it down here.
Because what if we go to Alaska?
Okay, I see. Okay, yeah, let's put it on.
You know. Oh, I found the air intake.
I'm finding parts that don't even go to this truck. So some poor guy at the body shop's ordering parts for his car.
I found door rods.
Oh, good. Here's the fuel shutoff.
Oh, yeah, we need that.
Yep.
Oh, dude, door handles. These are square body door handles.
You know what that means? We got to build another truck.
You're right. There might be enough stuff here.
All right, right now I'm trying to figure out where all this wiring goes. It's been several years since I've had my hands on this truck, but it's all coming back to me. And some of this stuff was mounted on the firewall, but we're not gonna do that now. It's too nice and smooth, so we're gonna mount it someplace else. Mike's trying to find bolts for the steering, the front clip, and the core support, and I think we'll get it lined out. It's gonna make noise, I think, the next day or two.
Uh-oh.
What happened?
Either it filled it completely or something stuck. Changing the oil on this thing because it hasn't been changed since we did the Cummins swap. I forget how much oil a 5.9 Cummins holds. We've filled 1.5 drain pans now.
So right now, Newbern's up front wiring the truck. I started my day out putting fluids in the motor, fluids in the trans, and I was about ready to put the intercooler and radiator and core support on when I realized I can't do that, and here's why. None of the doors are aligned to the cab of the truck. Basically, I gotta start back here to get all the way up there. So I gotta align this door to the cab, and then align this door to that door, and then put the fender on and line the fender up, and then I could put the core support, radiator, intercooler, all that stuff on. But I do have one trick, and that's to put a floor jack under the door when aligning it, because that acts like having, you know, a friend with more hands here.
Well, I've got about as much wiring as I could possibly get done. So when we mount the fenders, I can finish routing like the headlight wiring and stuff like that. I've got the wires running under the truck to the taillights. I've got like the sensors hooked up for the coolant temp, oil pressure, and the tack and all that kind of stuff. So now I'm moving on to the brakes. We got to hook the lines from the master cylinder down to the proportioning valve. So that's what I'm doing right now. We can't find our flare tool. Right now I'm going to just use this tube, wrap this a couple times, and shove it right in there.
So I'm taping the top edge of the door. If we get it adjusted incorrectly and it slams and it hits the cab, it's actually going pretty good. There's all kinds of adjustment in the factory square body Chevy truck door hinges. You can move the door up, down, in, out, and you can tilt it. And so right now we're getting the top of the window frame fitted to the cab. And then next, we're going to move the bottom of the door in so that the bottom of the door is flush with the rocker. The doors are pretty much lined up to the truck, or as best as we can do it here in the garage. They are aftermarket doors going on an original Chevy truck cab, so they don't line up perfect, but they do close, they don't hit each other. We're good with that. Now we're moving on to the core support, and this is a little tricky because it's a Chevy core support that we've modified to fit a stock Dodge Ram 3/4 ton intercooler and radiator. We took this apart 3 years ago and don't really remember how it goes back together, nor do we know where all the hardware is. If we can get this part just mocked up tonight, then tomorrow we can plumb this. We'll actually be in pretty good shape.
Now that that's kind of in place, let's put a fender on it. Man, it's weird. It looks like a truck. I hadn't seen it like this in a while.
I know. Nice. Dude, that looks pretty good. Would you look at that? It's starting to look like a truck again. I legit have not seen the front end of this truck in 3 years. This is exciting. We're gonna finish bolting the fenders onto the core support, put the intercooler and the radiator in, and then probably call it a night because we're just so far ahead. No problems. Now the radiator can go in from the top, and then the tedious task of bolting the fan shroud onto it.
There we go. Yeah. Right there.
The fan shroud drops into two little things.
Yep.
Right there.
Mine's in.
I think mine's in.
Stuff's lining up.
Dude, we're this close to having a cooling system. Tomorrow we go to the other shop and get everything we forgot. The inner fenders are sitting there, the bumper, parts to hold the grill on. And we need those on there because a lot of the wiring and computer and stuff needs to bolt to the inner fender. So tonight we eat dinner. Celebrate.
All right. We're at our storage shop right up the street, and a ton of the parts are here for the Ramp truck. I thought I got everything, but apparently I left a couple pieces behind. But right now we're gonna go through this storage room. We're still missing pieces like the gas pedal and the intake tubes and stuff like that, so hopefully I can find that stuff. Oh, no. No. It's a brand new shirt. C10 parts, random junk. All right, we found the fender wells. So what we're gonna do is pull the front wheels off, go ahead and change the front wheel studs, put longer ones in there because they had, just a few threads on the old ones. So we're gonna replace those with longer ones. While we got the tires off, we'll put the inner fenders on, and then we can finish the wiring and everything else. So by the end of the day, hopefully all the inner fenders, the wiring on the front will be done.
So right now what we're doing is we are installing the inner fenders. These are the original 73 Chevy inner fenders that came out of this truck, but they've been highly cut and modified to fit the turbo plumbing.
I'll jump on the wheel studs if you want to jump on like intake tubes and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Originally, this truck came with 16-inch wheels, and we upgraded to 19.5s. And when we did so, we wanted to keep the caps that came with those wheels. And you have to run a lug nut like this with threads on the outside, and this has to be metric. Originally, we put these studs in here, and they're not long enough. It caught like 4 or 5 threads, and I have found longer ones that I think will work. I hope I have the diameter of this correct. I'm going to use one of the lug nuts to pull this in because I have no way to press it in. I'll try one. And if everything seems to go okay, I'll move to the next one. So we're having a little trouble getting these in. They're a little tight. One went in just fine. I tried to pull a second one in and it actually snapped. So right now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it in the freezer and let it sit for a couple of hours because this will actually shrink the metal and make it a little bit easier to get in theory.
Somehow, during the course of the last 2-3 years, we've managed to lose a few things. Some of those things are mildly important, like the charge tube that goes out of the intercooler into the intake manifold. Luckily though, I have tubing laying here and it's just a straight piece. So I'm gonna cut it, bead roll it, install it, and then that's basically done. The turbo system's completely finished. Done.
Right now, I am finishing up the wiring inside the truck. Most of the wiring in the engine compartment is finished up. We've got the wires routed to the rear of the truck. We had to extend them just a little bit because this harness is for a dually, but this has got the ramp bed on it, so it's about 8 foot longer than a standard truck. And then in here, it's pretty simple. All the wires are labeled. It tells you exactly where they go. So, you know, you shouldn't be able to screw this up, but no promises.
All right, now we can start wiring the battery and all the power distribution stuff in the engine compartment, which all used to be on the firewall, but we shaved it with that cool smooth panel from Slosh Tubs. Someday we'll have some cool air conditioning going through there. But for now, that'll just be a blank canvas, and then we'll move all the wiring and distribution stuff to this side of the truck.
Well, I got most of the wiring done inside the truck. The gauge clutcher is ready to go in. We're waiting on the headlight switch. And as soon as I get the headlight switch put in, I can put the cluster in. It's just easier that way. But right now, I'm going to clean up the gas pedal that's been apparently sitting in water for no telling how long, getting all the rust off of it. And we're actually missing the piece that goes on the front of this to hold this in. So I'm just going to make one out of aluminum and just get it done so we can drive this thing.
Things are going really good. Obviously, the engine is in, the complete turbo system is there. We have all our fluids. Right now, Dave is working on the gas pedal. What this truck is missing is a complete wire harness, and we're using one from Painless Wiring, which is pretty sweet because it is vehicle specific. It is actually made for a Chevy crew cab dually, which means we have taillight wiring that goes pretty far back there. Not all the way to the back because this is a ramp truck and it's longer, but you know we can extend that. But it has all the other circuits you would find in a C30 or R30 pickup. It's a 150 amp fuse. This goes between the battery and the fuse box. It will protect all the circuits of the vehicle in case we ever short something out. And you might be tempted to attach this with, say, a self-tapping screw. Looks like that. Problem is the sheet metal of this inner fender is really thin. What happens is when you go to tighten it, you can over tighten it and strip the hole out. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to install this threaded insert, and the tool will actually squeeze this in the hole, making it in there tight. So then you can really crank down on this thing. And this is the tool. When you squeeze that, that is going to blow this out behind the hole so that it can't come out. There we go.
I don't know what you're doing, but it's moving something out here.
That'd be the throttle.
Ooh, you got a gas pedal?
Let's go grab one out of the freezer and see if this actually works. One wheel stud ready to go. I think it's cold too. So in theory, we left this in the freezer all night long. It should have shrank a little bit, which makes it a little bit easier to get in here without breaking. Nice.
Uh-oh. So did you just waste all the threads?
All the threads are gone. That's impressive.
How did it rip the threads off? Because I watched that thing go in until you got to the very end. It was just pulling it in nice and smooth. So
Right.
how did it take all the threads off if it was the right lug nut? Maybe test fit it, see if it goes all the way on. The other thing I noticed is it looked like you ran out of thread. You had a spacer on there, it looked like that was in and you still had shank there. Maybe.
They seem to pull in fine, but getting the lug nut back off is the problem. Maybe I should just go back to the old style lug nuts, not use these.
I feel like you have this under control. I will keep wiring.
I found a lug nut that screws on there all the way very freely. I feel like our chances now are a little better than they were before. If this still doesn't work, then we're gonna have to either make a tool or go rent a tool that will pull these studs in. Okay, and that's how it's done. We'll have at least one. So I'm gonna go to the opposite side. That way if things go south, you'll have long ones like, you know, like that, and not just two of them next to each other. So. Alrighty, there's an arrow, because they have to be in phase. When we had the truck towed, we pulled this drive shaft out so it didn't burn the transmission up, because if you have all this connected and it's spinning the transmission as it's getting pulled down the road, there's no fluid getting circulated through the transmission and it'll burn it up. It's just not worth the risk. Okay. Drive shaft is installed. It's now time to install the gauge cluster. So Classic Instruments custom made a gauge panel for this truck. We're so close to firing this thing up. I'm getting so excited. So here we go. Okay, yeah, I kind of like it.
No fires. Yay. I see no reason why we shouldn't just prime the fuel system and then start it up. Mechanical fuel injection on the old 5.9, which is nice. Doesn't require very many wires to actually make it run. What it does need, though, is diesel fuel, and because it's set for 3 years, we're going to take this broom handle, reach down in here on the plunger on the injection pump, and we're going to plunge that while Newbern opens one of the delivery valves.
Yeah, so I'm gonna crack this one. Once we get fuel to here, I'll tighten it back, and then I'll do like 3 of these. We'll get the fuel up to the rails up here, and then we'll turn it over and see what happens. It'll run rough at first, but then it should get all the air out.
Hopefully there's fuel in that filter.
We have fuel coming out of it.
Do we?
Mm-hmm.
Old fuel.
Try it out.
Okay. Okay, ready? Oh, we got gauges. Needles moved.
Really?
Yep. We got no starter.
All right, turn it off real quick. So what we'll do is bypass it with this little pigtail right here.
Oh.
Okay.
Ready? That's a brand new battery. No way. Let me get the meter out. It's got 12.1 volts. It's a little low, but
Okay.
here we go.
Right now, we're probably looking really dumb to diesel guys. Right now, I'm cracking open all the injectors to try and help get some of the air out. It's turning over really slow. It's sat for so long, it's hard to tell at this point, but I'll give it a shot.
We're pretty sure we now have fuel at the delivery valves, but our fuel shutoff solenoid is not lifting up. So I think Newbern's gonna try to lift it up real quick while I turn the key, and that should make it run. Let's find out.
Go for it.
Here we go. Kill it. Nice. We're back. 3 years later.
Yes!
Dude.
Oh, leaves and stuff hit me right in the face, but it's okay.
Roadkill Ramp Truck is back. It runs. It doesn't stop. I don't even know if it moves. But the 5.9 did come back to life. Now we need a list. We need our boost controller hooked up. Because this thing, when it works, that engine makes 65 pounds of boost. It's a rocket. Front bumper. Seats. Seat belts. Why not install a line lock while you're at it? Because burnouts. Today's day 3, we made it run. I think by tomorrow afternoon, we should be test driving. And then we go get Blasphemi. We can cross off all kinds of things. Fuel shutoff valve, wired it, it works. Dave did the wheel studs, we wired up the tack. Boost controls, let's talk about that. We have compound Garrett turbos. We also have this. This is from Power Driven Diesel. This is called the Turbo Tuner. Essentially, it's a bleed valve. Now, our big turbo has an internal wastegate that we don't want to be active right away. We want this thing to spool as fast as it can because hot rod diesel, we want it to make its most boost as we can. And what this does and why it's unique is it doesn't have a bleed orifice in it. So as you adjust this, it's going to stop the boost from going to the wastegate diaphragm as we turn this. So if it's all the way out, all the boost going through it, free flowing, goes to the wastegate diaphragm, this starts working as soon as it sees boost. If we close this down, it stops the boost from going to the diaphragm. We can increase the rate at which we build boost and slow down the rate at which the wastegate is active, which means it will spool faster, the truck will accelerate harder, it'll make more boost. I'm gonna mount this in the dash, and then we're gonna keep on with what's left of this list, which really isn't very much. I think today's the day we go for a test drive. There we go. Now we got a boost controller. So, medium rod, hot rod. That's all the boost. And then this is some of the boost, and then this is very little boost. And then up here is the Power Driven Diesel AFC Live. This controls the fueling of the motor. It's temporarily mounted because roadkill, but basically you can fine tune how much fuel the engine's gonna get and how quick it's gonna get it. And then this switch right here switches from your fine tuning to all the fuel. So all the fuel, all the smoke, all the power, cruise. We are nearing the end. I don't mean like done with the build, because what build is ever done, really, especially on roadkill. But we are getting close to driving the truck. But before we do that, because we're so confident that the drive is gonna go great, that we're gonna go just straight to spinning tires. And that's where this little doohickey comes in. This is a Hurst line lock. Essentially, this is an electronic solenoid valve for your brakes. And the way it works is you put your foot on the brake pedal, mash it to the floor, then push a little button that energizes this deal. This deal is going to hold the front brakes. You're going to let your foot off the brake pedal, which is going to release the back brakes, which means you're free to do burnouts for as long as the tires will last. We're going to use this because ramp truck.
Seat's really heavy. Try not to touch nothing, rip nothing. Oh, all right.
You need a hand?
Yeah.
It's big.
It looks really tall. Dude, you're not gonna. Did y'all look at these at all?
It's been 3 years, I don't know.
Come, I want you to sit in it.
All right, all right.
The back seat, on the other hand, is money.
That's the stock back seat.
Exactly.
These are the junkyard seats out of a Tahoe. They look really comfy. Look at their power. Yeah, I mean, if they were wired, they'd power. Get in there. Okay. Well, I always wanted to drive a big rig, you know?
You are half inch from the ceiling.
hook a power drill to it, or not a power drill, hook a cordless battery to it and see if it'll lower down.
Okay.
Because it does look like it's up. You know, like it could go in right now and I could drive, and as long as we never hit a speed bump and then a little dingle thing on the top of my hat never hits the roof, I'll be fine. But if it'll lower down.
Well, help me get it back out then. All right, yeah. Okay, all right. I got a, what looks like a black with a white stripe, brown with a white stripe, green, another brown, white stripe, and white. So right now we're using one of Milwaukee's little 12-volt batteries, and I have some wires rigged up here just for testing purposes. And we're gonna hook it to the harness of the seat to see if the seat functions.
Aha! All right, there's forward and back. Won't go any further up. Aha, because it was all the way up, dude.
Hold on. All right, go.
Yes! We just gained probably 1.5 inches right there.
It'll be like right there.
Ah, that's better.
Let's drill some holes.
Crossing things off the list. We're about to put the hood on. Newbern's wrapping up the front end. That leaves sway bar, winch battery, bleed brakes, dash braces. Some of this stuff, it's the end of day 4. We're just not going to do it. Winch battery will have to happen because Blasphemi has no motor, and I don't think we're pushing it up these ramps. So
It is time to bleed the brakes.
okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Holding.
All right, go ahead.
Holding.
All right, check the reservoir, make sure. I've got a ton of air out.
All right.
So it's very important to bleed your brakes, especially after you've completely gone through this system, because it's going to be full of air. You want to start from the furthest wheel from the master cylinder, is what I've always been taught. So you do the back first, then you do the front passenger, then you do the front driver. Do we get some fluid?
I used some fluid. I got you something. Hold on. What you doing?
Good?
You want me to pump again?
Yeah.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Holding. Oh, I'm starting to get a pedal now. It's hard work.
So there's no leaks, so the brakes are going to work perfectly fine. We can test out our line lock once we get outside, but right now I'm putting the sway bar on. Then we can go for a test drive once we put the front wheels back on it. We actually have threads coming out of the end of the lug nut now versus just catching like 4 threads to the inside there. So I feel much better about that than our previous setup. It is time. We bled the brakes, line lock's done, hood hinges are done, front bumper grill, and look at it. We've looked at it a bunch.
I'm ready to drive it now.
Let's go drive it.
Enough looking.
Let's get it off the jack stands.
Just slide it right out. Oh, yeah. Dude, this is cool. All right, hot rod diesel. Let's go. I'm gonna give it some gas. I'm gonna give it some diesel. Okay, here we go. There we go. All right, it's alive. Oh man, it's moving. It's alive. Oh my God. This is incredible. This is incredible. It's got 80 pounds of oil pressure. It's got 13.5 volts, so the alternator's working. Half a tank of fuel. Says it's idling at 400 RPM. Hey, let's read his text about checking the trans. All right, shift it into neutral.
All right, then shut it off.
Reverse neutral. 15 seconds, then shut it off. Fill till it's in the middle of the first S curve on the dipstick. All right. So he wants fluid all the way up the dipstick tube, huh?
Oh yeah, there's nothing on the dipstick.
Okay. So that means it probably is going to take another 2 or 3.
At least.
Nature's not stopping us today. That's how long we've been at this. This is diesel fuel treatment. It's supposed to remove water from the tank, which we probably have in there. It's supposed to add lubricity, prevent deposits from building up on parts. We're throwing it in there just because this thing has sat for 3 years with half a tank of diesel outdoors. So I'm sure there's moisture in it. All right, we're gonna put 8 gallons of fresh diesel in to go with our additive and then road test.
Oh, dude, look how nice it is. Oh my God.
Yeah.
This is awesome. The ramp truck is moving after all this time.
I know, dude. It's been years. The tack is not working. It's so weird. I've never driven it without a hood. Oh my God. It's working.
I hear the turbos.
Dude, it's spunky. Completely spunky.
You gotta tighten that clamp there, buddy.
So we got a boost leak now, is what
Oh,
you're
yeah.
saying? Okay.
He's about to get rowdy.
Maybe I'll turn that knob down until we get the clamp tighter.
we was about to get fired up there for a minute.
Dude, I was like, oh, it's pulling good. Bang, and I was like, oh, what did we put a hole in? She said, other than that.
That scared the hell out of me.
All right, I'll go back to the house. So test drive went pretty good. Nothing fell off, nothing caught on fire. That was good. And then we swooped in behind a building to see if it would do burnouts, and it doesn't want to do burnouts. It's clearly making a lot of power and a lot of smoke, but the brakes, which are now disc brakes all the way around with a brand new master cylinder, won't let it do burnouts. So we engaged the line lock to just use the front brakes, but the front brakes don't seem to be enough to hold this 9,000-pound beast from rolling.
Yeah, it's got 1,400 foot-pounds of torque. It's a lot to hold back, you know?
Yeah, we'll try the line lock one more time, and then go home, put a hood on it, and go get Blasphemi.
Let's see what we can do.
Okay, line lock engaged. First gear, let's go. Oh, you just ran over those rocks, dude.
Damn it. Let me move the rocks.
Try one more time. Yeah, put the rocks back and I'll foot brake it.
Okay.
Ready? Okay, here we go. Is it doing it? Oh boy. Well, they spun. They started to spin, then the brakes wouldn't hold it. But the brakes also work so good that they don't want to spin. So you let off the brakes to get them to spin, then you can't hold it still. This thing used to do wicked burnouts when it had a bone stock rear end and drum brakes. I think the brakes work too good.
It started to.
You give it brakes to hold it, but then you got to let off to get it to spin. Once it spins, you try to get back on the brakes to hold it, and it drives right through them.
Yeah, it started to spin. But then when you went over the rocks exploded, and like one flew by me. I had to run away.
This is it, road trip day. We have wrenched for 3.5 days, and miraculously, we managed to wire a plumb, reassemble, fabricate our way into a running, driving Roadkill ramp truck once again.
Yeah.
With only a couple of problems. Problem number one, we blew a charge tube apart when it made a ton of boost, but I believe tightening that just fixed that right
That scared the hell out of me. It sounded like a gun went off.
It was so loud. I bet the neighbors loved it.
Yeah.
And problem number two, we could not do burnouts, which this truck used to do really well before we put four-wheel disc brakes on it. And now either the brakes don't work well enough to hold it in place, or they work way too good on the back of the truck because we can't spin the tires anymore. I lied awake in bed last night for quite a long time thinking about the placement of our line lock, and I think we ought to plumb it to the rear brakes, not the front ones.
Already did it, so you're ready to go. I've disconnected the front brakes from the line lock, hooked it back to the master cylinder, and I've connected the rear brake line to the line lock. So in theory, like say you're in park, you activate the line lock, that's gonna block the fluid from going to the back, and you can use the foot brake to control the pressure on the front brake. So hopefully we can do massive burnouts, maybe some donuts.
Yeah.
I just swapped it around.
I feel like today we'll be able to do burnouts, we'll be able to pick up Blasphemi. Just as soon as you install a battery on the winch, I make pins to hold the ramps on the back of the truck because we lost those, put the hood on, and bolt on side mirrors.
Dude,
So,
it's gonna be a functioning truck again. Like, I can't wait. All right, let's go. All right, it's time to put the battery in for the winch. All I did was take a factory battery tray and just bolted it right inside the box here.
the Roadkill Ramp Truck has these monster ramps. They're way wider and way beefier than I need for anything I'm gonna haul, but they came with the truck, so I'm gonna keep them with the truck. I like them. Fortunately, we lost the pins that go in place at the rear here that hold the ramps in place during transport, so I need to fabricate these real quick. We've got one made, I gotta do one more. And essentially, they just go in here like this. They slide in, put a pin through them. This is a hood pin, but works just as good, and then voila, your ramps don't fall out while you're driving down the road.
Battery is installed for the winch. Nothing caught on fire, which is good. Let's see if it goes in. All right, both directions worked, so I'm calling that a success.
Oh, you picked a perfect day to pick up Blasphemi.
Have we checked the weather at all?
I didn't expect this. Wipers would probably be a good idea now.
Yeah, we have a wiper motor. We have 2 or 3 of them. So let's go see which one actually works and which one fits the truck, and we'll just rig it up.
This is the exact kind of weather you want to pick up your freshly painted hot rod from the body shop in.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. So this is the motor that we're going to use, mainly because of this. Plugs right up. We had to call in some reinforcements. We're not used to having painted vehicles. We took the extra step to taping the edges and calling in some help so we don't scratch the paint. And if it gets scratched, it's their fault. Dude, look how good it looks with the mirrors and like the new glass and the new paint.
Oh, man. It looks good.
It looks really good.
You know what would look even better? Blasphemi on the back of it.
I can't wait.
Oh, man. It's got a hood now. I think the brakes are better, too.
Are they?
Yeah. Mirrors are good. Can you pull that one in just a hair? There you go.
With the road being damp, there's a much greater chance of this thing destroying the tires. Just saying, and we need to try out the line lock.
Yeah, we did make a significant change to the line lock, so it would be a crime not to try it. Okay, ready?
Let's smoke some tires.
Now it's doing it.
Okay, we need to leave. That was the thing under the hood again. We need to go.
Peace out. We're going to fix this up the street.
There's something going on with the line lock for sure.
I think it's bleeding through the proportioning valve and back feeding or something.
The test drives keep getting shorter and shorter, but I feel like that's the last of our troubles. We went out, we went 2 blocks. We successfully did a burnout with the aid of some front tire chocks because there's something wrong with our line lock. It does not hold at all. During the course of doing that, we used all the boost. We don't have a boost gauge, but I'm guessing it was over 60 pounds.
Oh, yeah.
And it blew the coupler apart on the outlet of our big turbo, which is the second time this has happened. And I'm thinking the powder coating on the tube and the minimal bead roll at the end of it is just not enough to hold it together. So we're going to tighten things up and hit the road and just go straight to the body shop to get Blasphemi. I'm confident we'll get there.
I like driving this truck, Dave.
Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
We made it.
Oh yeah, the auto shop.
I cannot wait to see Blasphemi.
Oh dude,
This is gonna be
you
awesome.
know it's gonna look amazing.
Oh yeah, baby. Oh, dude, terrific. Hell yeah, dude.
Dude, that's 4-wheel burnouts right there. Right now, we are at the auto shop in Butler, Georgia, and this is the spot where Blasphemi has spent the last few months getting resurrected. Drag Week 2019 was pretty hard on the car. It came home with cracked quarter panels, a couple other issues, but more importantly, there were just certain things about the car I wanted to change up, and so we sent it here to get a new flat black paint job and a gold roof and a gold dash, and reunite it with the Roadkill Ramp Truck, because it's been a while. Want to go see it?
Yeah, I do.
Let's go see it. Let's go see it. It's flat black again.
It is flat black.
Look at the roof.
So it's not wrapped.
It looks evil. Yeah, finally, it's flat black, but actually with paint.
Look at the top, man.
That is beautiful.
Look at the dash. Look at the dash.
I can't wait to drive down the street and stare at that. Dude, it's beautiful. This is what I had in my head from day one. Oh, dude, we have a trunk again. No more trunk lid flying off.
This is your version of the 2-lane blacktop car,
Yeah,
and it looks good.
Blasphemi is back. The ramp truck is back.
Your life is complete.
I know, right?
Man, I need a raise.
I already made babies. I don't need anything else. Oh, man. I want to load it up and take it home. I just want to see it on the back of the ramp truck.
All right.
Going down the highway.
Well, we have a little bit of daylight. Let's hurry up and get it out.
Look, the band is back together. We have Blasphemi in our possession once again. It's perfect. And now we can go home and fix it because we got the ramp truck running again after so many years of just languishing.
God, it looks good.
Like this was the car in my brain. Gold roof, flat black paint.
Let's go home and put a Hemi in it.
I was gonna say, I was literally gonna say the same thing. These two go together like peanut butter and jelly. Yeah,
This is cool.
this is definitely cool. And of course, nothing's done and nothing's perfect. It doesn't matter. Freiburger's right. Don't get it right. Just get it running. Thanks for watching Roadkill. So now we gotta push it.
Yeah, dude, this thing weighs like 8,000 pounds.
And we have to turn it and push it. And it's facing the wrong way.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. It's
Yeah.
the wrong way.
I'll steer.
What?
Seems fair. It rolls great. Do you have the brakes? The wheel? Okay. Just give me 13 or 14 minutes and I'll get the wheel turned. Oh, yeah.
Is that good?
Oh, yeah. We're doing great.
Are we almost there?
That ended up where we were.